Right, going live. Okay. See if this is working here. Oops. Going live. Cool. So we've got sound, we've got a video going, and people will, I'm sure, be notified here. So probably warm up with some music before I start going on about things. And of course, I have to adjust the video because you never know what it's going to look like until it shows up on the screen. So why don't I start with some music while people kind of filter in here. This is an original that probably going to be recording for an upcoming album at some point, but I'll leave you in suspense. I'll just fill you in with some details about that later. So this is called Help Me Out. By design, life is intended to make you cry, 'cause something good's got so little time. I want you, but I find it difficult to tell you the truth, that you are the cure for all my blues. Well, my load is so heavy, so we rested a while. Such a beautiful setting, I know it's taking a while. So come on, help me out, yeah, with these feelings that I gotta get out. Help me out, 'cause I can't get her out of my mind. Time slipping by. Language you speak, words don't compare to the moments we share. So I choke up and get weak in the knees. So Lord, help me out, yeah, with this feeling that I gotta get out. Help me out, 'cause I can't get her out of my mind. Time slipping by. Walked up the cliff, seeing so clearly even in the mist, that the fog would burn and the sun would lift. Our eyes did the talking, I was just a fool having trouble keeping cool, but that all changed and now the world is new. So heavy, so we rested a while. Such a beautiful setting, I know it's taking a while. We help each other out, yeah, with these feelings that we had to get out. We laid it high, now we laugh knowing how we were blind. Not gonna waste no more time. So, good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well on this Sunday and enjoying your weekend, and definitely happy to be here with you all. So, definitely excited about this. Was thinking about things I could offer to you guys, and the CAGED system is something that people ask about, and I thought about, okay, well, I have done a few, maybe like 1 or 2 videos introducing CAGED, but I wanted to do a longer live stream where we kind of discuss it. You can ask some questions, I can give some examples, and so that's kind of the plan here. And we have some comments here. The Mando Corner. All right, do you play mandolin? Hey man, just wanted to say I have really been enjoying your content. Your channel is a hidden gem. Wow, that's so great to hear. Comments like that warm my heart. I know it may sound cheesy, but it's true, and it's really appreciated, so thank you very much. It is a relatively new channel, so all the people that are here, I thank you for supporting it, because that means a lot, and it also helps the channel. And Laurel said, beautiful song. Thank you, Laurel. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so that was a little introductory song of a song I wrote. I'm kind of working on an acoustic album, so still have some ways to go with recording it, but I'll update you here and there. Scott said, that is awesome. Thanks for taking the time to cover this. And love your Grateful Dead lessons. All right. So we've got another Deadhead here. I love the Grateful Dead personally, and it seems like this channel has some fellow fans of Grateful Dead. So glad you're enjoying the lessons. There's more to come, and yeah, they're really those songs that they have are really great. So okay, well, I'm imagining people will kind of come in as we go here, but I'll get started. And feel free to ask questions. So let's talk about CAGED. There's a few things to talk about. There's a lot of things to talk about, and a lot of people have heard about CAGED, and probably more people than not, probably a majority of people who have heard about CAGED don't really fully understand it, or they may understand the concept, but they don't really understand how to utilize it. So that's kind of the goal of this lesson, is to explain, okay, you may understand CAGED and you look at the shapes and the diagrams online and this and that, but what do you do with that information? So I'm going to break down not only what CAGED is in terms of the shapes, which is very important, but then also how do we use that musically. Okay, and I'll show you how to use it with soloing and with chords, and also with rearranging songs, which is really great. And I'll give some examples, including, Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite people to use for examples, because he just really, as a rhythm and lead player, he really used CAGED a lot. But any great guitarist or really soloist or songwriter pretty much has CAGED down. So we'll go over some examples as well, and I'll play some songs. So let's see. When you're talking about CAGED, let's just start with breaking it down, what it means. By the way, I should say that we do have a new feature for our channel. The super chat is available. So you're welcome to use that, and it's just a way to support the channel if you want. There are other things you can do to support the channel, including subscribing to the Patreon, which is in the description. But yeah, the channel is growing, and so that's a new feature that's been added. So you're welcome to support the channel in that way, and just wanted to throw that out there for everybody. So if we talk about CAGED, CAGED is an acronym for a C shape, an A shape, a G shape, an E shape, and a D shape. So why don't I start with the key of C, which is a favorite of teachers to start with because it has no flats or sharps. That doesn't matter as much on the guitar, but C is an open chord, so there's nothing wrong with doing that. And also C is a great place to start with CAGED because the C shape is the first shape of the acronym CAGED. But you can do it with any key, and I'll show you that later. So if I have a C shape, I could do it with a C over G to really get the full effect here, or just a regular C chord. This is a C shape, and there are 5 shapes on the guitar. So before I go all across the fretboard, let me just play the 5 shapes. C, A, G, E, and D. Now keep in mind these are all major. There is a CAGED for minor. It's not talked about as much, but it's incredibly important. It's also harder to demonstrate a little bit because the shapes are very hard to play. But I'm happy to cover that later, maybe not today as much. But you want to start with major. So if I have a C shape here, that's great. And if I want to get past the first 3 frets, I'm going to have to understand CAGED a little bit. You don't have to, like many guitarists have learned this from thousands of hours of just messing around. But there's a shortcut we can take by just simply kind of studying this stuff ahead of time and then applying it. So here's a C shape. Now, I'm using open strings in all of these chords. So before I talk about the C shape more, because it's an open chord, let's go to the next letter of CAGED, which is A shape. All right, so here's an A, and this is an A chord. Now, here's the A bass, and you really want to pay attention to where the root is of any chord you're playing. So for a C, it's 3rd fret, 5th string. For an A, it's open. But let's say I wanted to play the A shape of a C major chord. Now I say, well, this is my C, this is my root. And I want to play an A shape, so I'd have to bar the A chord so that the root is here. Now we all know, I mean, most of us who are not, most of us who know bar chords know this shape. It's a standard bar chord shape, you know. You've got B major, which is a common chord to learn at the beginning. You could play any bar shape up and down the fretboard. But this is an example of an A shape in the key of C. It's an A shape because I've moved the A chord up 3 frets, right? So that's really useful to know because we can do that for all 5 shapes. So here's an A shape, and we'll talk about how to use that in a bit. Let me just continue to define this. All right, so what's after A in CAGED? C, A, and then G. All right, this is where it gets a little tricky because a G shape is not something we use a lot. If I play a G chord, first off, where's the root? All right, go ahead and as I ask these questions, you can answer them with me. The root is on the 3rd fret bass string or 6th string. So we know that if we're going to play a G shape of C, we have to play it on the E string or the bass. So where is C on the E string? It's here. Okay, this is C. E, F, G, A, B, C. Kind of nice to know how to play a scale on 1 string, by the way. Something that we can look at later. Very useful. So I have a C here, and I want to play a G shape. So if I play this, it's going to sound really weird because I have all these open strings. I need to bar the G shape all the way up. All right, now I happen to have big hands, so I can play this chord. But if you can't play this chord, there's no problem with that because this is not a chord that anybody really plays in practical use. Teachers probably play this chord the most to demonstrate CAGED. And I would say that 90% of the time, if this chord is played, it's in a teaching setting. So, not necessary to play, but really good to visualize. All right, so I've got a G shape of C. Notice that if I play the A shape, see how these 5th fret on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings are there? Watch this. With the G shape, I'm barring that 5th fret. They're sharing the same notes. Okay? Meaning CAGED is about connecting one shape to another. It's not just 5 isolated shapes. They're all interacting with each other and they're bridges to each other, if that makes any sense. All right, so there's the G shape. So we've covered the C shape, open, so we'll have to recover that in a sec. A shape,
That's using all 6 strings, by the way, which is good to do with CAGED. Now a G shape. Not easy to play or common. All right, now we have another shape that is going to be something that you all are familiar with, the E shape. The first bar chord many beginners learn is an F. And an F chord is actually an E shape of F. So if I play an E, okay, I know most people don't play an E like this with a pinky, but it's good for demonstration purposes. And then I go up 1 fret. If I didn't bar it, it would be a cool Spanish style chord. But for our purposes, we want to bar the E shape just as if we were barring the open chord here of an E and then moving it up. Okay, so E, F, G, A, B, C. See, I didn't have to move my positioning at all. I just moved up the frets. Now I'm at an E shape of C. So this happens to be probably the easiest bar chord to play and to understand. So there you go. There's an E shape. All right, so we've made it to 4 out of 5 shapes. We have C, A, G, E, all the C chord. Finally, a D chord. Yes, I will. Okay, good. Mando corner, I'm going to get to that in a sec. Let me finish this 5th shape. So we've done the E shape, and now we want to do the D shape, which is the 5th fret. Okay, now the easiest way to play the D shape would be just to play it here, like this D chord up 10 frets. But honestly, I don't like teaching it like that because, for one, it's not the full D shape. And secondly, there's no bridge between the E shape and D shape necessarily. So what you want to do is you want to bar the D chord as well. So here's an open D string. When we're playing a D chord, we know that the root is 4th string open, right? Even though we're not fretting that string. So we want to play that. We want to play a C note. I don't know why I'm putting in quotes. We want to play a C note on the 10th fret 4th string. And then play our D shape. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's going to be 10, 12, 13, 12. And it's just like a D chord, barred. We could even bar the 5th string 10th fret to really get even more strings. And if I had 6 fingers, I would play the 12th fret. It's the bass 3rd. It's the 3rd of that chord, but no one has 6 fingers that I know of, so so this is fine for now. That's the D shape. But most people would play it like this. Okay? So we've covered all 5 shapes, but like I said, let's revisit the C shape because it's open. We need to play it closed or non-open. So C, A, G, E, D. Let's replay the C shape up here. So I'm going to, as you all know, hopefully that the guitar repeats at the 12th fret. So I'm going to play the C shape again up 12 frets, but this time bar it. Oops. There it is. Also difficult to play, kind of like the G shape. It's like you're not going to see it in live concerts of your favorite artists. So there you go. So we've covered all 5 shapes in a closed setting, meaning in a bar-shaped setting, which will allow us to play all over the fretboard. All right, let me get to this question here. Yes, okay. So, oops, excuse me. So the purpose of, the Mando corner asked a great question, what are the purpose of these less practical shapes? If I'm not going to play this chord in a practical setting, what would I use it for? That's what I'm getting to with part 2, or with the next step of this lesson, is that there are tons of uses for these shapes. For instance, let's talk about Jimi Hendrix a little bit. Like the Wind Cried Mary. You know, if I did Wind Cried Mary in the key of C, I know it's not in the key of C, but if I did, Hendrix really loved the G shape. Now, I don't think Hendrix went through a traditional training on guitar. He just played enough hours to where he knew these shapes. But so he's playing B flat, B, C. It's landing on C. We're in the key of C. Then he does the G shape of each by only selecting a few of the strings. So here's the full G shape of C, but he's going like this. And then here's C chord, G shape, just the fifth, fourth, and third strings of the G shape. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that's the only use, but that's one of the main uses is triads and chord shapes, whether they're inversions or not, major, minor, it doesn't matter. You have all of a sudden all 6 strings at your disposal. And sometimes we forget that we don't have to play all 6 strings at once, right? Because we're taught in the beginning of our development to play these big open chords all the time. But as you get more advanced, sorry, I'm next to a busy road. As you get more advanced, you'll find that using less strings is actually more efficient. Just using some bass strings. And now I'm going up to the E shape, but just using 2 strings of that. Oh, wow, Laurel. Thank you so much. We have our first super chat of the channel. I really appreciate that, Laurel. She says, this is awesome. I have been learning CAGED for a while, and I'm really excited to learn how the shapes connect. It's so helpful to watch you put the pieces together. Well, really, I can't thank you enough, and this is an exciting time for me and for the channel to have super chats available and to have an audience that is benefiting from this. So, and I'm having a great time myself. So thank you, Laurel, and I will continue to try to put these pieces together for you. So, yeah, so the Mando Corner, I hope that answers that question. I will get to your question more as we continue on here, all right? So, why don't I play a song, because I've just covered a lot of information, and I sort of rattle on after a while, and then I realize that eyes are probably glazing over. So there's a lot to practice just with that, but I'd like to demonstrate some more efficient ways to use CAGED, but maybe play a song first. So, those are the 5 shapes of CAGED in the key of C. And I want to talk about how to use that with scales, chords, triads, progressions, etc. Okay? All right, good, good. I'm glad. That's the goal, is to get you further along on your journey of guitar playing. Okay, so let's see. What am I going to do here? You know what? I just talked about Hendrix. Let's do Little Wing, and I'll be playing a bunch of chords that are part of the CAGED system. Okay. Now I am on an acoustic, and better have a sip of beer before I play Little Wing on an acoustic. But I'm gonna play this on acoustic, although I do have a lesson for this, and electric's gonna be probably the safer bet for pulling that off. But I kind of like to challenge myself with acoustic playing for electric songs. But that's just a personal thing. All right, so here we go. Well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies and zebras and rubies and fairy tales. That's all she ever asked for. Riding with the wind.
I'm sad, she comes to me with 1,000 smiles she gives to me free. It's alright, she said. Take anything you want from me. Anything. This little loop here. A lot of CAGED going on. Alright, time to try to play like Hendrix on an acoustic, setting myself up for failure. Here's E minor, A minor shape, C shape of G, A minor shape of A. It's too hard. I'll wait to do this. Riding with the wind. All right. All right. Fun exercise to try that on acoustic. Don't know how well that worked, but hopefully you enjoyed. So, when I was learning CAGED with my private instructor, he basically, and I had a really good teacher, so I was very lucky. He basically talked about Hendrix, and that's kind of why I'm doing it right now. Now, like I said, many, tens of thousands of guitarists, I'm sure, are wonderful at CAGED. However, Hendrix was somebody who really showed it in his recordings. So let's talk about Little Wing. First off, the chord progression is E minor, G, A minor, E minor. So let's keep in the open chords for now. B minor, B flat, A minor, C, G, F, C, D. So tons of open chords, right? We don't need to play all up and down the fretboard to play this song successfully. So that being said, that's a nice setup for this. Let's talk about the intro. That's going to be E minor, an E minor shape up 12 frets, all the way down. That's an E minor shape of E minor. Now on G. Okay, before we get to G, what's that? Well, I don't know if this is the best time to talk about this in depth, because this is actually more of a minor CAGED thing with the E minor. But that would be an E minor, a C minor shape of E minor. See, here's E minor. Here's E on the A string, which is what we need to do a C shape. And if it's C minor shape, it would be barred like that.
So I might have lost a few of you there. Don't worry. The minor is something to do later. Now after that E minor, we get to a G. Don't be scared by the thumb thing. That's just what Hendrix does. But here is a E shape of G. Now let's say the bass player is playing this G, and all I wanted to do was I'm going to play the first 3 strings of an E shape and just forget about the chord. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff. You can just do a couple strings. See how that's just all E shape of G. You can't do that with an open G chord. You can't even reach the 5th fret. So already the benefits are becoming clear. The sus thing, but not there. So, okay. Now next chord, A minor. Here's an E minor shape of A minor. So here's an E minor. Let's bar it to the 5th fret, and Hendrix went. Here goes. Using the pentatonic scale, which a lot of you know here, but more in a chordal chord melody way. Then E minor. Here's an A minor shape of E minor. Just like A minor here, barred up to E minor. See, all those licks are taken from the CAGED system. Now, most people would say, I understand the pentatonic scale, so how did you get there from that? Not most people, I'm just saying some people who maybe understand the pentatonic scale. How did you get that from the CAGED? Well, if you use the chord, all of a sudden it sounds a lot fuller. And that's the thing about Hendrix, is he played rhythm and lead, right? So he was kind of combining all of it. B minor, here's the E minor shape of B minor. Here's the E minor shape of A minor. Here's A minor, but the scale continues out to there. Okay. Here's the E shape of G down to F. He's doing this thumb technique. So is that making sense? Basically, each chord has 5 shapes that we can use. Yeah, great question. So Mando Corner asked, are we picking out the pentatonic scale from the chord shape? Yeah, good question. I am picking out the pentatonic scale from the chord shape, and that's something that is important to understand, is that chord shapes and scales are one and the same. There was a kind of a funny joke from a teacher of mine, Bruce Foreman, who you all should check out, and he was saying that we were talking about guitar education and stuff, and he was talking about how he was joking, but there's a conspiracy to keep guitarists stupid by saying that scales are different from chords, and that, you know, you play chords, you play rhythm, all of a sudden switch your brain, switch your thinking to scales, and now you're soloing, and they're completely different. But really they're all the same. So if I play an A minor on the 5th fret, and I play the first position of a pentatonic scale, minor pentatonic, I'm accessing the same shape. So there's 5 shapes of a pentatonic scale. There's 5 shapes of CAGED, which is really powerful stuff, because if you then connect those dots and you say, okay, here's the pentatonic scale, and then here's the CAGED shape, I don't have to play it as a scale, I can play it as a chord. If I play the whole minor scale, not just the pentatonic, but all 7 notes, I can do that with chords. And all of a sudden it transforms the sound of what you're doing if you're just playing one note at a time, or if you're playing chords within you're playing scale tones and pentatonic tones within a chord, it makes you sound like you're doing something different than just playing the scale. So does that make sense? The Mando corner? So yeah, I'm picking out those pentatonic scales from a shape. So here's an A minor shape of E minor. Here's A minor, up 7 frets. And now I can go. All right. So Mando says, yes, that helped, lacking in my fretboard mastery. Okay, that's amazing to hear. Now, these things take time, so I recommend you spend some time with that, specifically by playing a chord, then playing a scale in that shape, and basically seeing the chord while you play the scale, and then trying to play a couple strings at the same time while you play the scale. So that would be my recommendation. All right, you're always welcome to request something. If I know it, I'll play it. Other than that, I may also just play some songs that I was kind of thinking about playing today. So that was Little Wing. Let's see here. Let me play an instrumental song. So this is a Pink Floyd song that I covered, that I taught probably a couple months ago. And it doesn't really necessarily have a ton to do with CAGED, but I had a subscriber send me. I don't think she's here right now, but a subscriber named Becky sent me an email with a recording of her playing this, and because she watched my lesson and learned it. So that's something you all can do. It really was great to see that. So, I thought I'd play this right now, and you can check that. Check it out. It's called "Is There Anybody Out There?" All right. I think I played that last chord wrong. It's supposed to be no 7 in there. All right, that was from the Wall album. Disc 1 or Disc 2, I forget. But just a nice instrumental. Kind of short, so maybe I'll do another one here. So hopefully everyone's having a nice night. How's everyone doing? Can't believe it's already been 40 minutes. That's amazing. Let me talk a little bit before I play again. So let's say I've got CAGED system. Thanks for being patient, for the information. I know it takes a while to prepare this stuff so that we can all be on the same page. All right, so if I have somebody pick a key, let's get some interaction here, and somebody pick any key. So it could be a natural key, a flat key, a sharp key, and just so I know that people are out there. And then I want to demonstrate how to use CAGED. So it could be a common key or not. Anybody, any takers? All right, any key out there that people want to try out? Oh, thank you so much, Mando Corner. Wow, that's really nice. So we have a new super chat feature. just brand new to the channel as we're growing here, and we've had a couple very generous tips from Laurel and the Mando Corner. So thank you so much. Really glad I could help, and glad that you could help me. All right, so Laurel said E. Perfect. E is one of those great keys for guitar, mainly because we have open E and strings on the 6th and 1st strings. So if I'm playing an E progression, let's talk about the shapes of CAGED. So in CAGED, we're in an E shape right here. So the next would be D shape. So let's find the E on the D string. Well, it's 2nd fret. It's in the chord. Here's the D string. That's a D note. Up a whole step or 2 frets would be E. So here's a D shape. All right. Now, like I said before, what if we just forget about barring everything and make it a little bit easier to play these shapes? I can play this E shape here. Now I'm kind of going back and forth, but here I have a nice E shape. D shape. So while my friend is playing this, I could go up here and say, I'll play a lead part. Because I know the D shape. All right, let's keep going. Now I have a C shape. C shape starts on the 5th string, right, as we know. So I need to find the E on the A string. Here it is, 7th fret. There's a C shape barred up to an E. So let's say I want to play a couple triads from here. I'm going to play some lead licks. I know that the E major scale has this note and this note, so I'm going to hammer it on. And I know it has this note from the CAGED, so I'm going to bar the 4th fret, 4th and 3rd strings and go like this. Now I may not want to bar the whole shape, so I'll just do just these strings. Go to the D string, go to the D shape. Let me loop an E chord, and then I'll show you these things in real time. Okay, so let me play that with that C shape a little bit and D shape. See how it's a major pentatonic scale here? There's a major pentatonic scale, but now I'm using the CAGED chord shape. Here's the D shape, but let me use it in a more practical matter. Here's the scale. So I'm going to play some of the scale tones in this chord. See, it's just like combining lead and rhythm a little bit. Back to the E shape. Okay. Let's keep going. So there's the C shape. Let's think about the CAGED acronym. What's after C shape is A shape, right? CAGED, C, A. We know that the A shape needs to start with the A string. Convenient because it's the A shape. And if I play right there, that would be an A shape of E. A lot of you are familiar with this type of chord. Here's an A chord, bar it up, 7th frets. There's an E shape. All right. This is the beginning of the G shape here, Hendrix thing I mentioned, the Wind Cries Mary. Right? So, with the A shape, what's really powerful about the A shape is I can play this triad here, which is a really nice triad. Here's like the A shape. Now, a lot of times we don't play this 1st string because we're doing this, but if I played it like this, I can hear that these are the first 3 strings of the A shape here. 9, 9, 7. And if I loop this E again, let's play this chord and see how it sounds. Okay? A shape. Nice chord right there. Now I can do some riffs. Just like I was playing a scale, pentatonic. James Taylor uses a lot of this stuff. Although he uses it more with capos with open chords. Let me just play some scales now in that shape. Alright, A shape. G shape, we need the E string for the G shape root. So in the key of E, 12 frets up is going to be the same octave. So here's the G shape. Now this is the Hendrix thing I mentioned. We also have this shape, really helpful for a sus sound if we go to the 4 chord, or a sus suspended sound, sus4 sound, we can do that. So let's try that out. All right. Finally, we've made it all the way to the E shape, C-A-G-E, up the E chord up 12 frets. Wow, thank you so much, Stephen. Stephen or Stefan, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Really appreciate it. This is amazing. I'm so happy for our channel that we're growing and that we're able to interact with each other. So thank you, and I really appreciate it. So if I have the E shape, I have this really useful triad on the top of the strings here, right? That's going to be basically E shape of an E chord up 12 frets for the E shape up here, 13, 12, 12. So I don't have to play this whole bar chord to make use of it. So let's start this loop again. I can play the scale of E major, but with the chord. Kind of the bare bones of good lead playing is understanding where those shapes lie. Okay, but you know, that's just moving that shape up 2 frets. All right. Now, because I talked about utilizing CAGED, I think it's fair to say that we've covered all 5 shapes in isolation, but what if I were to demonstrate how all 5 shapes can be combined in a practice session or in a songwriting session or in a band rehearsal? If I were to actually say, all right, I've got all 5 shapes, now I'm going to have a song in the key of E, whatever key you're in, and I'm going to utilize all 5. So I'm going to kind of try to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but I'm going to be moving around from the D shape, C shape, A shape, G shape, and E shape. All right, here we go. Here's the D shape. Here's the C shape. Back to the D shape, D shape back to C shape, C shape back to D, E shape. All right, A shape. I'm doing a couple fancy things there, don't worry about it for now. Going to the 1, 4, and 5. Now to the G shape. shape. G shape. All right. Whoops. Uh-oh. Did I lose? Okay. I had a little thing on my phone that said low battery. If I froze, sorry about that. So that's a basic little rundown of how all 5 shapes can be used. Let me play another song, and we'll probably end it soon. But don't go anywhere, because I'd like to make some final remarks. All right. Let's see here. Well, why don't I do Touch of Gray? Because I was meaning to do that earlier. So I did a lesson on this. This is just a wonderful Grateful Dead song, and we did have a Grateful Dead fan comment earlier. Any final questions? Because we're probably going to be ending it in the next 10 minutes, and it's great to hear from you all. Really appreciate the support and all the thumbs up and the super chats and all these things. It's kind of an exciting time for the channel. We're developing a lot of things very quickly, and it's a lot of fun to hear from you all. So I've got the Patreon up with about 15 tabs or more. I'm going to be adding backing tracks to that and other music theory stuff. A lot of songs tabs are up there now. We have now the super chats up, and then I've been doing a lot of requests, so different things happening for triads. Okay, so we have a question from Scott. I'm interpreting them right. They are fragments of the full bar chords. Yeah, more or less. Absolutely, Scott. So wonderful question here. For triads, what is a triad? It's a 3-note chord. So it's basically a 1-3-5. All right, meaning the first, third, and fifth notes of a scale degree. So if I have a C, I could just play the fifth, fourth, and third strings of a C chord and already have a C triad. 1, 3, 5, and then it just repeats. 1, 3, 5. So a triad is a fragment of a full caged bar chord shape. All right. However, a triad is fully complete and whole, meaning you might have a couple, like 2-note things here, and it's not really a chord yet. A 3-note triad is a full chord, so we could be done with the chord. That is a C triad, 1, 3, 5. And this is part of the E shape of caged. So yes, it's nice to have 6 strings. However, what if I just wanted to play a triad and not encumber myself with all 6 strings? I could just play a triad here, another triad here, another triad here. Now this is not a triad. That's a power chord. I'd have to go to the D shape to play a triad. That's a little more complicated. It has to do with having a 1, 3, and 5 in every 3-string grouping of caged. So here's a G shape of C. Here's a triad. I can just play that triad there. Here's a triad. It's a first inversion. Here's a second inversion. I'm going fast because I just wanted to quickly answer that question, because it sounds like you pretty much know that that's the case. All right? So you've got triads that are within caged shapes. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Why don't I play Touch of Gray, and then I think we'll... Okay. Yeah, are they always on adjacent strings? On adjacent strings. No, they don't have to be on adjacent strings. I'm a little bit trying to answer that. It doesn't need to be adjacent. Okay, so good question. That's a little more advanced. If you have a triad, you could have. There's 2 types of triads to furthermore answer this question. You could have adjacent strings like this, like I just said. That's a triad. However, you could have, and that's called a closed triad. However, you could have an open triad, right? Let's say I wanted to not have it adjacent. I could go like this. 1, 5, 3. but you can't really see that too well. Let me do it like this. Here is a triad on the E shape. Here is the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings, adjacent. Let's say I wanted to not make it adjacent. I could go 5th, 3rd, 1st strings. That would be a 5, 3, 1. Open triads are very beautiful, and they're a little more difficult to play, a little less common. See? So here would be like a C open triad. 1, 5, 3, 5th string, 4th string, 2nd string of a C bar chord. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Thanks for following up, Laurel, because I forgot about the adjacent. Yeah, my pleasure. All right, so here's Touch of Grey. I'm going to have to read these lyrics because, you know, well, I probably won't sing it all. I'll probably sing just some of it. All right, here we go. And then we'll answer any final questions and then wish you well on your guitar practicing. You know what? I got out of tune from doing Jimi Hendrix. That's good enough. All right.
Clocks are running late. They're out of the morning sky. Looks so far. Dawn is breaking everywhere. Light a candle, curse the glare. Draw the curtains, I don't care, 'cause it's alright. I will get by. I will get by. I will get by. I will survive. I see you've got your fist out. Say your piece and get out. Yeah, I get the gist of it, but it's alright. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Everything's got to say. Every silver lining's got a touch of gray. I will get by. I will get by.
Baseline.
To me, the eagles and the bakers and the seas, the ABCs, we all must face. Try to catch a little grace.
Jerry's really using a lot of CAGED in the scale shapes. It's too fast to explain it, but just take my word for it. There's the C shape of B, A shape of E, A shape of F sharp. Probably I'll just confuse everybody at the end of the video. Perfect. trying to explain myself all the time is tough. Wow, guys, thank you so much. Hunter is an old student of mine that was in one of my college courses at Front Range Community College, and he's a wonderful, wonderful guy, and I really appreciate Hunter. So thank you so much. Good to see you here. Scott, thank you so much, and I'm glad you're enjoying the Dead lessons. So I'm really overjoyed from the contributions, and you know, this is a new feature of the channel, and I'm just over the moon. So really, thank you, and this is a great way for us to keep in contact. So I'm going to continue to try to give you the content that is going to help you the most. And feel free to email me in the description below if you have other questions. You're always welcome to do that. So I think we'll probably sign off, and this was a lot of fun for me, and I hope for you too. So yeah, I'm going to be doing, of course, more lessons, and probably I'll do some formal breakdowns of some of these CAGED things, like specific exercises you can do, specific triads you can utilize that are a little more easier to pin down than me just saying them on the fly. So with that, happy practicing. Oh, hey, Sabroso. This will post, Sabroso, so don't worry about missing it. It usually takes YouTube about 8 hours or so to post these longer live streams. So look for that on the channel, maybe tomorrow early morning. But anyway, like I said, I'm going to be posting some things for you guys to, you know, implement these things a little more. And other than that, have a wonderful night and a wonderful week. And, you know, happy practicing. Remember to practice a lot and enjoy it. So with that, I will sign off and bid you guys farewell. And thank you again, Mando Corner, and thank you all for all your wonderful comments. So cheers, everybody, and see you next time.